Hassan doesn't even
I
understand
agree
the
with that.
basics of what he's talking about, right?
I know. Yes, I know. But that would make him stupid, not a hypocrite, right? That's a
No, no, no,
different.
no. But when you pretty much never do anything else than the bare minimum in order to affect change, and that bare minimum is also coincidentally what makes you the most money, I think there's serious questions to be asked here. Does not
That's
do.
also effort that would help his income, wouldn't it?
No, because it's way more profitable to just
To look like a moron.
I mean, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, look at him. I mean, I think a lot of this thing, specifically when it comes to calling out like Hassan, is like one of the major things that are incredibly positive and that are super important. Because I think, yeah, Hassan
So
is
for the Ukraine stuff, yeah. For a lot of stuff, yeah. Most of, yeah.
yeah,
I think a lot of the discourse around like hypocrisy has been very like dumb.
hypocrisy on
Uh,
Hassan's side.
yeah, like the house and stuff, like the focus on it, as if
I
you
mean,
can't be a socialist and like be rich.
no, the
I
focus
think you
there is just
can.
that like Hassan has so much potential to do so many good things for the things that he support, yet he does like literally fucking nothing, which leads to the
I
question
mean,
like how much does he really believe in
I
like
don't
what he
think he
does?
does nothing. He's made a lot of content
Yeah, but everything he does
criticizing
that
it.
is in favor of it is also coincidentally always something that is hyper beneficial for him personally as like a figure when it comes to making revenue and making money and growing as a figure. He won't do the things that you go out of your way and things that are less effective for your own personal growth that serves his goal. So for instance, you won't catch Hassan canvassing in the same way that, for example, Destiny was canvassing for
I
these things.
mean, okay, but like, was Destiny like bad faith before canvassing? Was he a hypocrite before canvassing? I don't think that's a like a line, like a litmus test for good faith or something. He's a creator.
I think
He
it's
does create political content, advocating for his positions. You know, I
yeah.
wouldn't say that's nothing.
I would say that compared to the potential that he has with his public outrage, with his money that he has,
I
with
mean, that
his like
alone.
his name like weight, it's like so much more just because the absolute effect he's having is big because he's a big figure. I don't think that makes him and his efforts satisfactory because relative to how much he could do, which is a standard I think we should hold people to,
Okay,
he's
but
doing like
would we
fucking nothing,
call
right?
Destiny hypocritical for like playing League for like a week or something when he could be talking about important matters?
Well,
Will we call him? Yeah.
Destiny isn't he doesn't Destiny doesn't have like a he isn't like a political project pusher in the same way that Hassan is, right? So Hassan
Well,
specifically, like his channel is he's about socialism, he's about all these like progressive socialists, he's about being a political commentator on those things. Like that's his main channel. Destiny's more like, hey, Destiny's a live streamer who talks about politics and plays video games. Like
I
that's more
think we can
who he is.
call Hassan that as well, right? What's the difference
I
there?
think Hassan's like the emphasis on Hassan's politics is way more significant as part of his channel than that of Destiny. But regardless,
I'm not sure I understand this argument. Like, I I don't think there's a significant difference there.
okay, but yes or no? Do you not think Hassan could do like so
I think
much?
everyone could do a lot more.
Do
I
you
think
think?
Destiny could reasonably even do
Okay,
like more,
okay. So
right?
compared to how much
Not sure why we would
go on.
hold those two
Well,
in
the thing
different.
is, Destiny's ability to do things has been significantly mitigated because of a lot of the responses he got when he did try to step outside. Like, for example, his canvassing effort in Omaha, and how now
Yeah,
that's kind of stuck there. And whenever people Google about his name for future efforts or whatever, there's going to be a lot of
yeah.
reservations for stuff about that. So it's become a lot more difficult for him to do those things. But I ask you then,
I
relative
mean,
to what you could do
sure.
as a streamer, okay, for Destiny and Hassan, who do you think is doing more?
Sure, relative to what you could do, I guess Destiny might do more. And I
Destiny
will say
might do.
might
I think it's
because
obvious that he's doing more. I don't think it's even
I can't
close.
say that. I mean, he's not like, devoting all of his life into, furthering his political goals or anything. A lot of it is him just having fun and shit. He's not, you know, uh,
So if you talk about, I mean, we already talked about the canvassing thing, but even if we talk about the thing you were talking about before, which is just the content you produce, right? Destiny puts like infinitely more effort into making sure that things he talks about, the arguments he makes, the things that he references are
Oh,
factual
yeah,
and accurate compared to what Hassan does.
100%.
Hassan doesn't even
I
understand
agree
the
with that.
basics of what he's talking about, right?
I know. Yes, I know. But that would make him stupid, not a hypocrite, right? That's
No,
a
no, no,
different
no, no,
argument.
no, no, no. Hassan could easily be way better at what he talks about if he put time and effort into understanding these things. But the thing is, he doesn't care for that. He doesn't have an incentive to do so. Like there's
Sure, uh, he doesn't care as much about it. That doesn't make him a hypocrite when he does say that he cares. It's just that
No,
he
it doesn't
doesn't.
make him a hypocrite. We don't know for sure, but it's just that like, hey, for being somebody who talks
I
all
see.
this talk about like politics and socialism and revolution or whatever, and then you do like fucking nothing. You do like the very bare minimum, which like in turn also
I
happens
wouldn't
to be
say
the
it's bare
thing that
minimum either,
improves
though. He
your
does.
like financial well-being the most. It raises very serious questions about the sincerity of what he
I
talks about.
mean, you can say that a lot about Destiny's, you know, like if Destiny doesn't do debates, he's not gonna get as many viewers, right? He's not gonna get as much income. You can say that about Destiny as well.
Yeah, but Destiny isn't gonna like, you know, if he talks about like, for example, like the debate with Nick Fuentes, for instance, that debate is sitting at like, what is it, like 130,000, or is that just the Q&A? I'm not sure what the original one is sitting at. 246 F7K. But for a debate that required so much effort and so much reading and so much understanding of the things before you're going into that, there's way more effective ways to dedicate your time for the same amount of viewership that doesn't require all the hard work and effort that understanding and preparing for arguments about a hyper complex political conflict is going to require. But Hassan doesn't
Yes,
Hassan doesn't do those things, right? For Hassan,
yes, he
it's
sucks.
what's the easiest.
Okay, so he did very good, Destiny, on that debate. He definitely prepared a lot, and I have a lot of respect for him for that. But he's had many debates where he has not prepared whatsoever, and has been very bad. One example, probably the best one out of this year, is one debate against actual Justice Warrior. He had, I think it was live or something, where
The one about COVID?
it was, I think it was about COVID, and it also briefly became about crime statistics and shit, like they have talked about before. And he was just very unprepared. I saw his fan base on his subreddit talk about it. Like, yeah, he sucked on that one, you know.
Okay.
He's had many, and it's like you can accept that, right?
Yeah.
He's had many debates where he's not prepared.
I mean, he
here and
does
there.
a fuck ton of debate. There's absolutely going to be more. There's absolutely going to be debates where he's less prepared compared to what you
Yep.
should be, or what he usually is. Absolutely, that's the
What
case.
he
But
should be, what he could
yeah,
be.
but it doesn't put him anywhere near the realm of Hassan, like nowhere near. And
Yes,
we
yes,
talk
in
about
terms of
effort into
preparation,
content. We talk about debates.
100%.
We talk about real political efforts. I mean, even when it comes to like living your values and just the way you run your business as a content creator, when we talk about the history that Hassan has when it comes to, you know, his moderators and his editors and stuff like that, and compensating them and having proper work relations with them compared to Destiny's record with those things, once
I
again,
personally haven't really looked into any of those things
okay, well,
about how he runs his business. The main issue I had was with the house and the contradiction, the juxtaposition of luxury and a socialist. You know, why spend all this money on yourself when you could all spend it on your goals? Like, we don't hold any other ideology to that standard.
to be
you
clear,
know?
nobody's saying that Hassan should donate everything that he has towards his goal. At least I don't think any reasonable people are saying that.
Everything. I'm not even saying anyone is saying that.
Okay,
But
cool.
I think a lot of people were like putting like a line of how much he should be donating. You know,
It should be doing way more than he is right now. And that's what he's not doing. He should be doing so much more.
Should Destiny be doing more than debate neopronouns and?
But he is doing way more than debate neopronouns.
A lot of the time he isn't, though, right? How often is he debating a serious matter?
Okay, I'll just go to his recent videos, and we can just talk about that. So granted, he's been banned recently, so we have a lot of videos about that. I'm gonna stop at the serious topic. So I mean, John Sewage.
Wait, no, that's not exactly what I'm asking. It's like the percentage. Like he could be doing a lot more, even Destiny, right? Sure, Hassan could be doing way more, but we are not calling Destiny a hypocrite because he could definitely be doing more, right? Am I crazy?
Probably everybody could be doing more, yes, but
No, but like he could reasonably be doing more. I'm not saying, yeah, technically he could
so like
devote
what would be like
24/7.
an example, for instance?
Like an example of doing more, there's like so much politics. Has he talked about the Don't Say Gay bill?
I don't think he
Has he
specifically
talked
talked
about
about the Don't Say
the
Gay bill.
trans kids laws about,
About the what?
about the laws about trans kids, the recent ones? I'm not sure exactly what they're saying either. I've just seen posts talk about them.
I don't know what you're talking about either, to be fair. But I mean, so
About
what you're mentioning
legalizing,
is you're mentioning like two specific things, like, oh, you know,
hasn't there
what
been laws about estrogen and not puberty blockers and stuff, and how you can report to the police if some parents are making their kid trans or some shit like that?
I'm not sure what this is about. I think it's hard for me to comment on this, but I mean, yeah, sure,
That's
you can
something.
say like, oh, you know, maybe you should comment on this a little bit, you should comment on this a little bit more, and that's fine. It's fine to encourage him to do that. I think that's a good thing to do. But compare that to Hassan, who needs to
Sure,
fix the
yeah,
way that he does
Hassan
his
is
labor
worse, but
relations, who needs
we don't
to
treat them.
understand the basics of the arguments he talks about, who needs to spend some amount of money or effort on anything IRL
To be
politically
clear, I
related,
don't think
who needs
that
to
shows. I don't think his lack of effort shows anything more than an inflated ego. Like, I just think he can like jump in a debate and like destroy anyone. But I think that's just because he's stupid, not because he's like he doesn't
no, he's
care.
lazy.
And
That's the issue with Hassan. He's lazy. He can do
is it?
so, yes, he can do so much more. He can learn and understand so many more things than he does.
I think he could. Okay.
Absolutely. Like he's not
It doesn't
like,
strike me as a very smart person.
so do you think that he's just like hardwired to just be like hard stuck on the understanding he has for these types of things?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. He could do more, sure, but like, I don't know. I just don't think it's it shows him being a hypocrite, and I don't think we are holding them to like the same standards, Destiny and Hassan. When we talk
but
about
fundamentally, Destiny's doing he has a history of doing things that is outside his financial interests. Because of responsibility or because of trying to encourage and make a positive change. Okay, Hassan has no such history. Hassan doesn't go out of these things. He doesn't do anything. That's the problem with Hassan. So fundamentally, even though sure it's an arbitrary line, no matter what we draw it, Destiny does do those things. We just want to argue for him to do more. Hassan does
he
fucking
doesn't
nothing.
because I haven't looked into it.
To my understanding,
Are we sure he doesn't? Or
yeah, to my understanding,
right, but you're like in Destiny's community, and that's the shit they throw around all the time about Hassan. But it's like, have you checked?
do you know? I mean, one of the things he did, like he was like, you know, Elden Ring. I think every time he died was it like I think $10 or $100. I'm not sure what it was, but like
Hassan.
yeah, I think that's probably the most recent thing. But for somebody who's like
you don't
like
follow
literally,
him, do you? I'm assuming you don't follow Hassan and like whatever he does. Your interaction with him is through Destiny's community. If he did something good, would you know about it?
Probably yes, I think so, and that's why I know about, for example, the Elden Ring thing, right? That's a positive thing he did, sure, but like for like a multi-millionaire that Hassan is, like 100, like
Hey, let's not pretend
I think
Destiny is like poor or anything. Destiny has a lot of disposable income.
Yeah, but it's nowhere near the same. It's not
right,
even
but
close.
what is he doing with that money? Like,
I mean, he's engaged in two like widespread canvassing efforts that set him back like tens of thousands of dollars.
that was 2 years ago now.
And the reason why he hasn't been able to do more was because literally people, a lot of which from Hassan's community, specifically like fought back against him. Hassan went on stream and just mindlessly decided to like support the opposition candidate, or like to denigrate, the candidate that Destiny was supporting for literally pretty much like no reason.
That's funny. That's stupid. Jesus.
Like what I said or what Hassan did?
No, what Hassan did. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, he's at least Destiny's making an effort, you know, and a lot of the pushback he receives are from the other lefty political communities, right? That are making this difficult for him. It wasn't a bunch of right wingers that fucked him over in Omaha. It was left wingers.
Okay, let's say everything he does, everything Hassan does, is always simultaneously benefiting him. Can we call that bad faith necessarily? Like
No,
it's still
no, okay, so it's you never you can never know things like this for sure, whether or not something's bad faith. But when you pretty much never do anything else than the bare minimum in order to affect change, and that bare minimum is also coincidentally what makes you the most money, I think there's serious questions to be asked here, and I think it's absolutely the right thing to do to be like, hey, you should do more.
yeah, okay, but like, should we say he shouldn't buy a house? He shouldn't buy a big house? Should we say that?
What do you mean he
Am I-
shouldn't buy a house? I'm not sure what you mean by that. The main thing is that he
Well, the
should
whole
do
debate
more.
was like, he has so much money. Why is he spending it on himself when he could be spending it, fucking revolutionizing or whatever?
Yeah, I think making the argument that holy shit, he has so much money, maybe he should spend it on anything that he actually claims to care about. I think that's a fair argument to make.
But he does do work, even though he could be doing more. It's not like
But the thing is, everything he does is the bare minimum and what makes him the most money.
okay, it's not. It's bare minimum. If you look at it, it's like he does this all day, pretty much, right? He doesn't. It's like his job. It's his day-to-day job to
Yeah.
talk about politics.
Uh-huh.
That's not a bare minimum.
That is
Right.
absolutely no. But the issue is that the type of thing he does, streaming for those many hours, that's what makes him the most money, right? That's what it is. Because you won't see him, you will not see Hasan streaming for 8 hours a day, doing like research and reading economic papers or whatever to better argue for the things he believes in. You won't do that.
You won't,
You will catch him for 8 hours fucking watching MasterChef or whatever, you know? That's what you will catch him doing. So it depends on what you do as well in that time period. That's also significant.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like necessarily should reflect bad on him that he could do more. Okay, that part obviously he should do better, like in his preparation, in his understanding of the politics.
I think for somebody who constantly talks about things like eating with the rich, for somebody who constantly talks about the importance of like left-wing advocacy, of like socialism, of like LGBT rights or forever, for somebody who does that and then doesn't like dip a toe outside anything that's going to make him the most money in order to actually support those things, I think that's terrible. But yeah.
I mean, I don't know if necessarily reacting to YouTube videos of like Crowder or whatever he does. I don't actually watch any of Hasan's streams. I don't know what he's doing. But I don't know if I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You don't know if that's insignificant? Is that what you're saying? Was that what you were going to say?
Shit. I've completely lost my train of thought.
That's fine.
Sorry.
Okay, yeah, I just think like I think that a critique against Hasan for having all these statements and for claiming to care about all these things when his behavior pretty much doesn't reflect that at all, and it is probably a much more likely explanation that he will just do whatever he can to make him the most money, and one of the means by doing so is for claiming belief in all of these different things. Yeah, that just seems like a more likely explanation given the set of behaviors that we've seen from him. But yeah. So
like you're pointing to a contradiction there, a hypocrisy, right? Because you said you can't do that or whatever.
Well, hypocrisy. So claiming that, oh, I care about all these things, but then not doing anything in favor, that's not necessarily a hypocrisy, because it's entirely possible that like, hey, like a working class Andy, says, oh, I care about all these things, and then some conservatives like, okay, well, what are you doing? Why are you buying an iPhone, Lamau?
I mean,
like, obviously that's one thing, but when somebody who's like literally a multi-millionaire is doing nothing, then that's another thing, right? But yeah.
Now you're calling it nothing. It's not nothing.
Nothing outside of his direct like maximizing of revenue.
It doesn't have to be outside, though, does it? It can just coincide.
But it's always perfectly coinciding with what he does. When we know there are examples of things he can do that are valuable that do not coincide with his things, but he doesn't do those things.
I mean, I think it would be a benefit to him if he was smarter and he educated himself on the things he speaks about.
And that's something you
That's
can
not
do.
even.
That's effort you can put in towards educating yourself
Yeah,
that he does not
that's
do.
also effort that would help his income, wouldn't it?
No, because it's way more profitable to just
To look like a moron.
I mean, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, look at him. Like, there are so many other political content creators that are way smarter than Hassan, but they have a fraction of his audience. Hassan is there because he regurgitates the common talking points and he just spits them out without giving them much thought. And he's a lot of people find him entertaining. He's attractive, and bang, that's what he makes money for. It's less profitable of him to spend like 8 hours like reading and doing all these things that is subpar content than it is for him to be doing everything that he is doing currently.
If you do CTRL-F on Destiny's videos and type Hassan, you will see how he's absolutely shitting on him in every of those videos, and it has like 200,000 views minimum of Destiny shitting on Hassan and making him look like a complete moron. So I can't imagine that being profitable towards Hassan. Right?
Wait, hold on. Just because somebody else makes money off of calling Hassan a moron, that doesn't mean that Hassan being a moron doesn't make Hassan money.
I think that takes away from. Does that not take away from Hassan Yusuf? You think that none of this of these videos criticizing Hassan deep into his income at all?
Maybe, but not as much as him doing like 8-hour research streams would.
You don't have to do 8-hour research streams. You can do those,
but
offline.
It's not even that. It's also that he's like just directly. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to be more informed. Like after that debate he had with Christian Walker on trans stuff, right? He had a bunch of people in his community that were like, "Hey, I didn't like the way you talked about this. I'm trans. These were not the comment. Like you failed in the basic talking points. You didn't know what to take it. You even made an argument that was in his favor at some point because you didn't understand it. And what did he do? He freaked the fuck out. He said that he hopes this person leads like a miserable existence. He banned them. He said, "You guys know what the fuck you're talking about." Like it's not even that he just. It's not even that he's. Never mind. I take it back. Okay, he's not lazy. He's aggressively anti. Like doing anything he can to further educate himself and make himself a more responsible.
His low effort engagement with politics as proof that he doesn't care.
Yes.
He only cares about his income. But
absolutely.
It would help his income if he was smarter and he didn't look like a moron. Would it not? He does it because he's an idiot, not because he doesn't care. It's not evidence that he doesn't care.
Okay, do you think he understands that him being more educated would be more beneficial for his political advocacy?
I think he believes he is educated adequately because he's dumb.
Okay, I mean, sure we can treat him like he's completely
I think most
brain
people
dead,
don't know they could be more educated.
Yeah, it's just so fun that we talk about Hassan and like the bar is literally like on the floor. Like we don't expect anything out of the ordinary from him. But then when we talk to like Destiny, it's not enough that he has all this debate. It's not enough that he's worked towards de-radicalizing people. It's not enough that he does all these things. He needs to like go like flying above and beyond and all these things. He
doesn't have to. He's not flying. He's flying below beyond. He's flying below his standard. Destiny, I think. Destiny reacts to Vox Manifesto votes. He would eat a baby. Damon Mama debates. Like, a lot of this shit is useless when considering his political views.
And then we go 4 days ago and we have a discussion about systemic racism and specifically the ways that we can change our language on the things and our engagement with the topic to make it more like acceptable to a wider range of people, especially people who aren't already bought in. We can go back and then we have the Nick Fuentes debate. That's literally like 3 weeks ago about this specifically. Then you have a 2-week conversation with like a ex-NATO special forces person where they talk about the history of NATO and some of the inner workings and this relation to the Russia-Ukraine conflict. Then we have, let me just keep reading here. We have things specifically about like vaccine misinformation and research and stuff like that. That's been shared by Jordan Peterson, like one of the major things. Right. Like, yeah, but you don't have anything of the sort for this.
Do we not?
What? Like just because you can find like some of the videos are just more like whatever. It just
So, first of all, he talks about the anti-gay bill. Don't say gay bill. It's like right off the bat. Right?
Sorry, what?
Let's look at Hassan's channel, right? Because you're saying he does nothing, right? dear conservatives, gay people exist. The most normal anti-abortion activists. Elon Musk just put, these are all relevant to his political goals, right? He's constantly talking about, constantly advocating in his massive channel.
But the thing is, his advocacy is dog shit. It doesn't appeal to anybody that doesn't already like agree with him, or that finds him, or that doesn't like find him like attractive or whatever.
Do you know that? Do you know he's not appealing to
Do you think
like
that his arguments are
average
convincing?
Andrews? I have no clue. I think
Okay.
I'm assuming his coverage of the Don't Say Gay bill won't be that bad. I'm assuming.
Do you think he understands what the Don't Say Gay bill means and what it does and what it actually implies? Or do you think that he would get absolutely washed if debated like any standard conservative with even a basic understanding of the bill? What do you think?
Okay, can I ask you something? Have you watched Hassan's content outside of the
Wait,
Destiny
hold on.
Round?
So do you think that he would perform? Do you think he would get? Don't you think he would get absolutely washed by just a conservative with like a
Okay,
basic
he's
understanding
bad
of the bill?
at debate, period, even if he is educated.
Do you
first
think
of
his?
all,
Do you
I
think his
think.
Do you think that his understanding of the Don't Say Gay bill is
I
good?
would say it would be decent. Yeah, it's my bet. You wanna test that theory? You wanna watch his video or something?
Yeah, maybe we could watch this video. I'm gonna take a gamble. I'm gonna say probably
No?
has no idea about it, but yeah.
No idea. Come on, man. Really?
I don't think I'll be very surprised if he has a decent understanding for why this thing is, why it's bad and what it does and what it doesn't do. I'd be very surprised if he had that understanding, but yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, I don't know exactly what his
fun.
thing what his take on the Don't Say Gay bill specifically is. It was something you brought up, but yeah, that would be my guess.
Okay. You wanna bet it? Bet something on it? Just
Yeah,
for fun, not
we
that
can
I'm like.
sure we can bet $10 if you wanna.
You have Steam? Because I don't have money, internet money. I have virtual items on Steam. That's only I can trade only that.
What we can say $10 worth of something, okay, and then we'll
Sure,
figure it
yeah,
out
okay.
what happens afterwards, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, that's. I will. You can message me whenever you watch his video or something.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Good discussion. Okay. See you.
All right. See you. Bye bye. Okay. Hold on. I need to watch this video now. Now I'm curious. Somebody has timestamped this actually, which is what I was gonna ask. Okay, so let's. So towards the end of my stream, the person I debated linked me this clip of Hassan talking about the bill, and this was the main thing that they'd find for Hassan demonstrating his understanding of it, and they sent it to me on stream for me to go over and give my takes on it, and I gave the same take I'm gonna give right now. However, I misspoke a few times, so I'm gonna be recording it again offline right now for you all. It's from the video Why Conservatives Are Canceling Disney from Hassan's official channel at timestamp 11:24. So yeah, let's give this a listen.
For the record, classic conservative tactic, making it seem as though like there's gay propaganda. One, making it seem as though like there is such a thing where like the mere mention of homosexuality will turn a child into a homosexual. Okay, it is a choice. That's wrong. So that's like the core premise of this. Okay, so let's start there. Two, the idea that like gay propaganda as a consequence of the gay agenda is being disseminated in our schools is completely wrong. That's not a real thing. And this bill doesn't even address that. Even if it was a real thing, this bill's not even addressing that. This bill simply is saying like you cannot mention this. K through third grade, you cannot even mention anything about homosexuality at all. So that's number two. And lastly, the ultimate goal for conservatives, and this is like they're basically admitting this, the ultimate goal for conservatives was to get Democrats to push back against this and say, no, you should say gay, you should say gay, you should say gay. So that like to the Normans in the world, okay, out and about that don't pay attention to this stuff, they're gonna be like, what the fuck's going on? What are the liberals like? They're going crazy? They just want to like say they want to make our kids homosexuals or whatever? Like what the fuck's happening? Because Normans also don't understand this because it's a reactionary culture. So if you haven't put a lot of thought into this, you think in your mind like all the videos and all the footage that's going to be cut out of this is a bunch of fucking blue-haired people screaming, no, you should say gay all the time to children. Most people are going to turn around and be like, what the fuck? That's weird. And that is precisely the reason why they did this. And it is relatively successful. It's this.
So yeah, here we go. So even in this short clip where we don't even get a lot of detailed perceptions about his understanding of the bill, I can still point out 3 issues in his analysis. issue number one, and this is not really super related to the bill, just something that he says that doesn't really make sense. So he says that there is no evidence of like LGBT indoctrination in schools, which seems to be true from everything I know. But then he also says that this bill wouldn't address that, should that even exist, which isn't true. And he says even himself in his own video that, hey, this thing bans everything LGBT related. So if it bans everything LGBT related and there was hypothetical LGBT indoctrination, it would ban that too. So that just doesn't really make sense. But regardless, that's not super important. The second, and this is one of the major flaws, I think, of both Hasan's understanding and of the bill, and one of the things people are most worried about, is that it's not just banning this stuff on K through 3. It does a lot more, and I'm going to read a part right now from the bill. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3, or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. So we have that second part as well, that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate. What does this mean? What are those state standards? We have no idea. They don't exist. Florida, as a state, doesn't even have mandatory sex education standards for when kids need to be taught that. These state standards don't exist, which means essentially that, hey, it's not just K through 3, it's whatever is subjectively determined to be age appropriate or developmentally appropriate, which means that there are going to be lawsuits if stuff like this is taught about past grade 3, because that line doesn't exist and some parent is going to sue. What's that going to mean? It's going to mean that no educational institution is going to want to risk being that school that is sued for the landmark legal case on this. And therefore, it's going to have a chilling effect on everything. And that's one of the major issues, that it's not just K through 3. It's everything, because there's no hard line for what age appropriate or developmentally appropriate means, because there are no standards, there are no precedents on that topic. And that's one of the major issues, and that's completely missing from Hasan's analysis when he talks about this just being K through 3. So that's one of the major things. Additionally, it's not just instruction as the bill suggests. In this particular reading, there's also in the preamble, there's talks about how they define this as well as discussion, which broadens it even more, which brings in even more of a chilling effect and even more of like a general contribution to the vagueness, which is the biggest issue with this bill, that it's super vague, and educators and educational institutions are going to err on the safe side because they don't want to get sued. That's issue number 2 we have, that we're missing this piece of analysis, which is essential and like part of the biggest issue of the bill. And then we have point number 3, which is he says that the goal for conservatives with this is to get all the liberals to have blue hair and to say it's okay to be gay, say gay, say gay. That's not the way that conservatives and Republicans are actually spinning this. They are spinning this as not a, oh, these crazy liberals just want to say gay. They're spinning it as if, oh, these liberals want to violate on your parental rights. The bill is actually called the Parental Rights in Education Bill. And what they're framing it as is like, hey, we're just giving the teachers and the parents, information and choice and decision making about whether or not their kid gets exposed to these sorts of things. And that's what the left wants to prevent, because the left wants to turn your child gay. So it's not like we're trying to bait the left into, saying that saying gay is a good thing. It's that, hey, we're trying to bait the left into and portray them as being against parental rights in education for your child. So once again, we have a misunderstanding of what the framing is on this bill from the Republican side. So we have 3 pretty big flaws here in, Hasan's analysis. And, even though it's a very, very brief bit of an analysis, there's still this many flaws, which isn't very good. This clip as well, and this timestamp was given to me specifically by that person. So it's not something that I picked out specifically. And when this person that I talked to, he saw me go over this and make these arguments as well on stream, they even said that they agreed with my analysis, and they say, and I quote in a DM here, I definitely lost this bet. So it seems like we both agree, unsurprisingly, that unfortunately Hasan doesn't know anything about what he talks about, usually, for the most part. I do want to say, though, very respectful of the other person to make a concession, especially on something as vague as this, which is that, like, oh, what does a comprehensive understanding really entail? But they did make it here, and they agreed that from the things I pointed out, that Hassan lacks important, vital information about some of the key flaws and framing of this bill, and as such, at the end of the day, he agrees with me in that Hassan doesn't have a comprehensive understanding. Thus, I kind of like won this bet, or whatever you want to say. But yeah, that was just a follow up to the entire betting thing at the end of the debate there, and a conclusion on it. So yeah, but with that out of the way, thank you very much for watching. Thank you.